Welcome, investigator. Evil is on the rise. Crime is escalating. Our mission is to eliminate the crime by exposing evil, examine why it manifests, and highlight the brave souls that confront it every day. Join us as we work together to bring justice to every victim. Welcome to All Things Crime. Here's your host, Jared Bradley.
Yeah, I'll throw a little tidbit out at you. I deal with crime labs a lot, and there are, not all of them, but there are crime labs that I know of that literally spend 90% of their time getting ready for inspections as opposed to actually processing cases. So if you think of a few years ago when we had all those rape kits that, were discovered were just sitting on shelves. And I know of one particular agency in Texas that had over 13,000 untested rape kits. Well, when you have backlogs like that, and then you compound that with the fact that most of the time the analysts aren't even processing those cases, they're actually, getting their paperwork in order and getting ready for an inspection. It's like, you just create these bureaucracies and these complete inefficiencies that slow everything down, because a lot of times, and I've known of other cases where a woman was raped, they sent the rape kit in. It took over 8 months for that rape kit results to get back, which proved that the guy did rape her. And in the meantime, he had raped 3 more women.
Yep.
And it's the same, I think, for children, because again, children are in even a higher risk category, in my opinion, than women are, because they're not adults yet. And so if they have somebody that's either abusing them, well, it doesn't matter if it's physically or sexually, then
right.
As the investigation goes on, if that person is back out on the street, then that child, I can't imagine, the kid just has to be petrified. And that's where I was just so excited to learn about you guys. And, you always think of, the big brother type thing of, if my little brother is getting picked on in school, I'm going to just drop by the school and talk to that kid and make it stop. Well, you guys are kind of the biker version of that, which is fantastic. It's, and I know you guys, it's not your mission to intimidate. It's just your mission is just to make it stop. And so that the process can continue in the way that it should, without that child living in fear. And I love on your website, it actually says no child should live in fear. So that's just fantastic. So Cookie, why don't you tell me, and Nitro, you can follow. Tell me about the favorite time that you met a child and you were able to help that child with whatever problems that they had.
Well, I mean, it's hard. They're all unique and special in their own way. I think that the one that I remember most is it was a recent case, and we had to take this girl to court, and it was it was like a 4-day court case, and we're just there 12 hours every day. And afterwards, she came up to us and she wanted to give us something. And just to think, it's like, we don't need anything. We're here to support this kid, but just the mindset of this, I think she's 13, years old, 13-year-old girl that just went through this whole entire court case, was able to tell her story, have her day in court, watch this guy get put in handcuffs and taken away, and watching her, just the look in her eye, knowing that I at least don't have to worry about this guy for the next 50 years.
Can I ask what he was doing? I mean, without, lots of details, but
I mean, Nitro is that I just don't want to overstep boundary. I mean, it's just bad stuff, man. You let your imagination, let me put it this way. You can't unhear things when you go into court.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, you think of this from the perspective of a child, and it's like, well, where did, they're going through all these questions. Where did he touch you? How did he touch you? How many fingers did he use? And you're sitting here and we can't make a face. You got to sit here and look straight at the wall, not be able to say anything because you can't if you do anything out of place. It could be intimidation. They could throw the whole case out. So you literally have to sit there and listen to this. And it's the worst of the worst. And I know Nitro's been in the organization much longer, and there's some horrific cases that have come across. Some of them are national attention cases where it's just like the unimaginable things that these people do. And you're just looking at this little child. And it's like, yeah, as a parent, it's watching them be able to be empowered to tell their story. That's the fill the cup moment. Watching them change from the minute that they're hiding behind their parent and they see 15, 20, 35, 40 bikes show up for the first time. And they're not hiding anymore. They're not timid. They're out there we had one kid the other day, he read someone's name tag and was like, you don't know how to spell right, And so it's like for a child to come from a place of feeling so scared that they can't even talk about it or fearful, to the ability to come around and, be sarcastic and make fun of the adults with all of our crazy names, it is a sign of that healing taking place. And when fear's not there, the counselor's job is easier. When fear's around, the therapy stops. They can't progress if fear's present. So that's I guess the biggest thing in my takeaway is just seeing those little minute changes, just in the look of their eye, where it's a weight lifted off their chest. And it's something that, unless you're there and can see from start to finish, when we show up for the first time, you wouldn't notice it unless you're physically seeing them and just the presence that they have after we show up and be involved in their lives.
So yeah, before you tell your story, Nitro, in the video, it shows, like you said, 30, 40 bikes showing up, and they're all parked there on the street. And then you guys all walk across the street to where the mom and the child are sitting there, or standing there in their driveway. Is that first encounter, is that pretty typical what you guys do?
Yeah, the first encounter basically is getting that phone call, and then our child liaison and part of the board will go and make sure that it's a legitimate case. It has to be a legitimate case. We do get phone calls that says, I'm going through a divorce. Can you come beat up my husband? It's like, no, we don't do that. So it has to be a legitimate case. But yeah, once that's done, then we all go. I mean, they're like little brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? I won't let anybody hurt my own children. I am not going to let anybody hurt another child. I don't care if they're blood related or not. But when, like Cookie said, when you look in their face and you see fear, and the next minute, they're on the bike and we're giving little rides around the neighborhood, and they're leaning back, waving or putting a thumbs up because they want to go again. They're excited. They feel comfortable for the first time in a long time. I think they empower us. Our paycheck is seeing that smile on their face. None of us get paid for what we do. It is all we're going to ride anyway. Now we ride for a very good reason, but just seeing them smile. We've had some pretty serious cases, but this brotherhood and sisterhood that we have in B.A.C.A is one of the most phenomenal things that I have ever been a part of. Actually, it's the longest I've ever been a part of anything, even a job, because I believe in what we do. All we have to do is make a phone call. And it's amazing how many people will show up from different states, different countries. They'll ride in, fly in, drive in, doesn't matter. We call for, like Cookie said, all we have to do is make a phone call, and they don't even have to give a reason, but just to see them, I love it when they do get sarcastic. That says they're comfortable with us, and that's a bonus.
Well, anybody that's an adult that isn't just spurred to action immediately when they hear of a child that is in danger, to me, just isn't worth their weight in salt. So, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved, but,
yeah.
Again, if it was somebody in their family that was hurt, they'd want everybody to get involved. It's kind of contradictory. It's not my problem, but yes, it is, because when that kid grows up, he grows up angry, and your house gets robbed by that kid. Now it becomes your problem, and you want something done about it. You should have done something back then to help this kid. And that's the cycle that needs to be broken. You know what I mean? So they are so worth it. I don't understand it. Like you said, Jared, I don't understand how anybody can look at a child and hurt them. I just don't. There's other ways of dealing with things, but beating them or sexually abusing them is just, I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Another big thing where I think people just kind of miss the mark on a little bit is this. It's the perception of who these children are, and just to clarify what I mean is, it doesn't matter. We roll into just as many trailer park area homes in the ghetto as we do in upper class ritzy neighborhoods that have many mansions in them. And so it's like this, I think there's a perception out there that child abuse only happens in lower socioeconomic neighborhoods or just where you would think it looks like something would happen here. And it's just not true. This is happening widespread. This is happening by the people that you would least expect. It's the guy with a Rolex and a suit and in a Lexus car rolling up to a stop, not the guy in the creepy, window tinted whiteout van that all the movies portray as the bad people doing kidnapping and stuff. So I think it's a big concept for people to understand is this can happen in any neighborhood. This can happen in any park, any household. There is no bound socioeconomic wise of when abuse can take place. And we need to start waking up as a society and being those eyes on the street. Our business owners are the serious community leaders, all the stuff in the church organizations and everyone. We are the first line of defense by the see something, say something. And that's where we have to be looking everywhere, not just in places where you think or associate in your mind that it looked like it would happen here. The truth is it can happen anywhere. We need to be watching no matter where we're at.
Oh, that's well said, Cookie. And
Yes.
I actually interviewed, I don't know if you've ever heard of Jim Clemente. He was a FBI profiler, and he's kind of the inspiration behind Criminal Minds, that TV show.
Yep.
And the guy's brilliant. He's awesome. And one of the things that he said that he emphasized over and over is that the thing that you were talking about, Nitro, that the stranger danger that we used to talk about, that's not where the danger is really coming from.
Right.
Most of the time, kids that are being abused, especially the sexual abuse, is not coming from a stranger. They are being groomed by someone that a neighbor, sometimes even a family member, cousins. There's all sorts of directions that these children are being endangered by. But a lot of times they know the person that is grooming them. And that's why there's an immediate level of trust. And then that person is acting on them. And so that's why it's so critical to teach children. It's not necessarily stranger danger. This is the type of behavior that is not acceptable. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Uncle Charlie or, your cousin Susie. They are not allowed to touch you here. They are not allowed to do this. Those kind of, they're tough conversations. But every parent needs to have those conversations with their children, and that because the child is also a line of defense. They may not be able to physically defend themselves, but they can tell you if something like that happens and they're aware of it, and they know that that's a warning sign. Then they can alert the parent to what's going on, and then hopefully a lot of that abuse can stop. But prior to or post that, criminal action has to happen, and they have to go to the courts. That whole intimidation factor. Getting some guy will get his buddies to come and sit in a courtroom and stare at the kid or whatever, stare at the family. Those kind of things to me is just and like you said, even in the wealthier neighborhoods, it's the same thing. The person's proclivities toward whatever abuse that they denigrate themselves into, then that's not an economic thing.
Thanks for joining us. Your attention today brings us one step closer to exposing and eliminating the evil that brings crime to our communities. Hit subscribe and share this episode. Together, we will bring justice to every victim.